My name is Diana Lopez, and this is Medusa's Awakening Podcast. Trigger warning. This episode might address sensitive subjects that may be distressing for some listeners. Topics discussed include violence, sexual violence, childhood abuse, mental health issues, and substance abuse. Please be mindful of your own well-being while listening. If you find these topics triggering or difficult, seek support from a mental health professional or a trusted individual. We thank you for listening. So, as we start this episode, I wanted to let the viewers and listeners know that today's conversation is one of courage. I will be talking with someone who, at a very young age, had endured something no child should ever have to face: sexual abuse. Now, while this is a difficult subject, and I want to acknowledge that listening may stir up emotions for many of you, but you should know that this is also a story of resilience, of speaking truth, and reclaiming power that was once taken away. My guest today has chosen to share her journey, not only for her own healing, but to let other survivors know you are not alone. And what happened to you is not your fault. This is not just about pain, it's about breaking cycles, finding strength and vulnerability, and reminding all of us that healing is possible. Together, we can create spaces where shame dissolves and voices rise. So, with care in our hearts and respect for the truth, let's begin. I have here with me today Sofia Jara. Sofia has worked as an executive assistant for the past 20 years and is currently a board member for the Medusa Project. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Sophia.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming on and wanting to share the truth about yourself, and so that other people can also listen and hear,
Definitely.
that these are things that happen and people shouldn't feel alone in this process. So I'm going to ask you, can you share what made you feel strong today and ready to kind of share your story with everyone?
I think it's because well, first I'll say I was about 6 or 7 when it was happened, and I think just over time, over the years, I started talking about it.
Mhm.
Um, whether just sharing my story to someone or someone maybe that I thought needed to hear it. And this is the first time that it's ever an opportunity on a platform. And I thought, okay, well, this might reach someone that I wouldn't normally have a conversation with. It's not somebody in my family. It's not someone who I can just sit there and tell. So
Mhm.
why not do this and share? I'm okay with it. I've been talking about it for years. So
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, especially because a lot of people this is something that people feel shame and they hide, and
mhm.
it's hard for people to become vulnerable. But the idea is, when you do tell truth, when whether it's, I'm not saying telling the truth meaning everybody should go on and tell their story like on a platform, unless that's something that's called to you. But it's also like, even if you tell truth pen to paper, it is the art of removing it from your body
Absolutely.
and saying that this happened to me and it mattered. So looking back, what do you remember most about yourself as a child, before this abuse happened?
Honestly, I don't think that much changed before or
Mhm.
after. I grew up in a big family. I'm the youngest of eight. And I was always surrounded by attention and love. Always. So
Mhm.
I always had that. So nothing changed for me once the abuse happened. I still had my family, tight knit family, a lot of love, a lot of attention. So I don't think that that incident made anything change for me as far as how I felt or see myself as a child.
Oh, okay. Well, no, that's really great. I mean, I know a lot of people, they either have that or they don't have that, and
Right.
then
I was
they,
fortunate to have a big family, so
right.
a lot of support.
Um, how old were you when you expressed to somebody that this had happened?
I was 17.
Okay. So why did you feel like you had to carry it all alone for all those years?
Well, it was just something that just happened automatically. It's not
Mm.
something that intentionally I have to hide this. It's just like I'd never heard of it. I've never heard anybody speak about it. It's just something
Mhm.
that happened to me and I just pushed it down. It's not,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about when that happens that you don't run off and tell someone. I wish I had the answer to that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you don't. So I just shoved it down. And it wasn't until someone shared their story with me that I was able to finally speak.
Yeah. And I think that's what the important piece of this is to know is oftentimes when people don't hear other people sharing their story or hearing other people's stories that they feel that this was something that happened to them and them alone, and
Hmm.
it gets harder to actually put into words
Hmm.
um, when people keep it for so long, because I think it is so important that, especially like when we talk about trafficking victims, a lot of times they say that they didn't know that's what it was that was happening to them because nobody explained it. And now we're Gen Xers, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we did get our what, sex ed in class at some
Yeah.
point, but it wasn't where we're at now, right? And
Hmm.
so yeah, so it's definitely changed for the better, as far as understanding certain things and um how people should actually be keeping their, like, this is your body, type of thing.
Yes.
um so did you feel like at some point it was like a secret that you kept? And if it was like a secret that you kept, what was like the hardest part of keeping that secret?
Oh, the hardest part is, so it was my mother's boyfriend,
Mhm.
and she was still with him, and so that was hard, in
Yeah.
itself. And then when they did break up, to me it was like, yay, gone.
Yeah.
But I think one day I was at home and the phone rang and I answered the phone and it was him.
Hmm.
And it was just like, and then I just like tore into my mother, like, why is he still calling you? You're supposed to be like, I was so angry, like, oh my God, I thought this person was gone and
Yeah.
he's still there, he's still involved. And I had this secret, and my mom didn't know, but I'm getting so mad anytime he would call and yell at her. So my anger towards her
Mm.
was like, you're allowing this person still in your life, but she had no idea. And so that was the hard part, because I'm like, I have this secret and he's still trying to be in your life and I want him gone. And why are you allowing this? And so, yeah, I really would like get mad at my mom.
Yeah. No, I right, like totally understand because that
Yeah.
was a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my God, he's going to come back in this house again.
Yeah.
Like that, your deepest fear of him returning after like getting that breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, he's gone now. So like I
Yeah.
can focus on, not having to deal with him or being around anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so was there anything specific that helped you kind of cope when you were a child, as far as when you were kind of having these emotions and feelings or
Yeah, I think I had a lot of friends growing up as a child, and you know, my childhood is much different than the kids nowadays. So I was
Mhm.
out riding my bike, on my bicycle, going to my friend's house, going to the library, going to the park. Like, my life was so busy as a kid. It's
Yeah,
like so busy. We're always outside, we're playing, we're like,
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
doing things that made me happy every day, doing things that made me happy. And it's not like the generation now, unfortunately, who's in the house staring at a monitor,
Right.
staring at a phone. It's I had outlets, and I think those were my outlets. It was just part of our life, but I think like keeping myself busy, hanging out with my friends, doing the things that made me happy, um, because of the generation that I grew up with, I think that really saved me.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like you said, the more that like we have generations of kids stuck inside the house. Now, because right, we have the phone and
Hmm.
the video games, but also too, I think a lot of parents are scared to have their kids outside because of the state of
Yeah.
society where we're at right now.
Hmm.
There are so many chances in our mind as a parent where our child is in danger,
Yes.
right? And so
Hmm.
how many stories do we hear about kids getting kidnapped off the lawn or just out of their backyard? And it
Yeah.
doesn't
It's
make
very
us
different.
feel, yeah, it's very different. Um, So going back, when you first spoke about this,
Mhm.
do you think that that is what gave you strength was because somebody else shared their story first and or was this something that you were kind of already ready to talk about but really didn't know
I
how
was
to?
not ready to talk about it at
Okay.
all. I know I'll never forget this day. I was 17. It was a good friend of mine, and she wanted to go to Taco Bell. She drove at the time. So I was like, let's go to Taco Bell. Okay, we went to Taco Bell and we sat in a parking lot somewhere and, had, I think she had intentions to tell me her story that night
Okay.
and wanted to sit in a parking lot.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was coming. She shared her story, and as she's sharing her story with me, my whole inside was screaming,
Oh no
"Me too, me too, me too!" Like it was screaming,
way. Yeah.
And I knew when she was telling me that I'm going to tell her right after, right when
Yeah.
she's done. It's like I couldn't wait for her to be done with her stuff. I was telling like I wanted to.
Yeah.
And she finished talking and it had happened to her a while ago. So she was, able to talk about it. She wanted to share it with me. And
Mhm.
when I told her, she said to me, "We're gonna go to your mom, we're gonna go home right now to your house, and you're gonna tell your mom right now."
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was like, "We're gonna do what?" We're gonna do what? I'm gonna go tell
Wait,
my mom.
wait, I have to have this another conversation?
Yeah.
Can we wait?
And she's like, "You're gonna tell your mom right now." And
Wow.
I just said, "Okay." She walked in with me. My mom was at the kitchen table, and I sat down and I told my mom. And I was 17, and honest to God, if my girlfriend never took me to Taco Bell and sit in the parking lot and told me a story, I don't know what else would have triggered it for me to, I wasn't anywhere thinking about it. I need to tell something.
Wow.
Nowhere. It wasn't even a thought. But because she told me that, it was the first time I've ever heard of
Mm.
someone going through what I went through.
Right.
And like I said, my body was like, it was almost just so excited, like, oh
I
my
can let this
gosh.
go
Yeah.
now. Yeah, I can let this out.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that experience that same kind of thing, but like also too, how many times they probably want to say something but just can't,
Yeah.
get it out.
And also good for her for saying, you're going to go tell your mom right now.
Yeah.
She could have
Yeah.
just heard my story. We could have hugged it out or, but she's like, you're going to go home and tell your mom right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Hmm.
Um, so was it just it was just your friend and your mom that you shared this with? Like, have you told other people? And if you have, what was their response to you kind of sharing that story? Um, and how did those responses kind of affect you? And
Well, after I told my mom, then it became easier to tell my sisters,
oh, so, okay.
yeah. So I was able to tell my sisters and, you know, little by little, I told my best friend,
Mhm.
told another friend, and it just took that moment to kind of like be able to talk about it. So over time and over years, I would talk about it. And of course, people feel sorry for me. They feel bad. I'm sorry
Right.
that this happened to you. And I was totally fine with that. I get that. I would
Mhm.
feel sorry for someone as well. Um, so that was fine. I would say that, I've been with my husband now for 6 years.
Mhm.
Um, so he's doesn't know, about my child's in my past. So the time I decided to tell him, we had just finished having dinner,
Mhm.
and I told him I need to tell you something. I really need to tell you something as part of my life that you don't know. And when I told him, he started to cry
Yeah.
and he got upset and he was like, I need to beat this person up.
Yeah.
He wanted to.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was now as an adult telling it, I was comforting him and I
Mhm.
was like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay. Like, you don't need to cry and you don't need to go beat somebody up. Like, I'm okay. Like, your wife is good. Like,
Yeah.
he's not affected who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And so, I had and of course I had to, he's hearing this for the first time. So of course he's going through his emotions, but
Right.
I had to reassure him and I had to comfort him that like, I'm okay. And the reason why I had to tell my husband at that moment and why
Yeah.
I did is because him and I watch a lot of the murder shows
Yeah.
and the crime and all that. And so on those shows, a lot of the times it's abuse. sexual
Oh, right.
abuse. And so,
Yeah, because it's very common.
yeah, unfortunately. And
Mhm.
so he'll be watching it, and something will happen to a girl, and she'll come home and she won't tell anybody. And he's like, "Oh my gosh," he's like yelling at the TV. "There's an adult right there. Why isn't he telling her? Oh my gosh, she's not saying anything." Then like, time after time we're watching these shows and he's saying that, and I'm just sitting there. I'm starting to get a little heated here. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, it's time for me to
Because that's
tell
your
him.
inner child now
Yeah.
that's coming out, and you're like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Um,
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I told him, and I
Yeah.
said, when we watch those shows and you're yelling at the TV, you're yelling at me. When you're yelling at the TV and you're telling, "Oh my God, she's not saying anything," and da 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 da, you're yelling at me because
Yeah.
I did the same thing. And
Right.
so you need to understand that I understand that person on TV. And when you're yelling at them, you're yelling at me. So I knew that I had to let him know and explain to him, and he doesn't do it anymore. He
He
doesn't
was
have
like, I'm gonna zip it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
shut up
he
now
doesn't. He
because,
doesn't. And
but I think it's that perspective when people that have never endured either some kind of like sexual violence or physical violence or things like that, it's so easy for them to not understand.
it's so black and white for them.
It
It's
is
so
very
black and
black and
white for
white.
them.
Like, how do you not just march down and like go find the nearest,
Hmm.
responsible person? Because at that point, when you've gone through some kind of trauma like that, your trust goes out the window a lot.
Yeah.
And so, how do you think that, you're going to be able just to march off and tell somebody? Now, for the ones that do, good.
Hmm.
That's exactly right. Like, definitely do
Yeah.
that. More of that. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we need to start training our kids more of that.
Hmm.
Um, but it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about, when you don't know that's what it was that was happening to you. Because I remember growing up and this was not we didn't have songs. We didn't have, what did they say? Your no
Uh,
squares.
the Oh, no, I don't
You know
know,
what I
but
mean? Like, these are your no squares. Like, that's one thing. And then,
the lady that I just saw on TikTok, the
mhm,
the teacher
right,
who said, "Don't touch my private parts," and she's like emphasizing and singing it to those kids, and
right.
she's like, "If you touch my private parts, I will tell my mother, I will tell my father." And when I saw that, I was just like, God bless her.
Yeah.
Like, God bless her.
And I think it's important because when I think that a lot of times when the teachers teach that in the classroom, and regardless, like, yes, that's a great song because it's rhyming and the kids are
Hmm.
going to remember it, but I think it does become more impactful and empowers even a young child,
Hmm.
um when it's done in a way of where they feel power,
Yes.
like, instead of making it soft and sweet,
Well,
it's
she was given the power.
right.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was just like, I'm gonna tell my father, I'm gonna tell my teacher, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this, like, that's what we need more of, is empowering kids to say, I don't have to take this shit,
Hmm.
basically, right? Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of the idea. um so, because of how extremely well you do with this, um is there anything that you kind of think about when you do think about healing from this? Because this is something, right, that was done to you. This was a trauma from your childhood. Was there anything specific that you used to do? Like, I don't know, whenever things, and I'm talking about sometimes when shame hits, or, for most people, they're blaming themselves,
Hmm.
and that may not be, what you've experienced, but was there something like spirituality wise, or some kind of creative outlet that you used to have when you were?
Honestly, for me, it was, yes, there was shame when it happened because
Mhm.
I knew it was wrong when it was happening
Mhm.
because I didn't feel right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
felt so disgusted, and I knew it was wrong. So there was shame, but at the same time, for some reason, I didn't blame myself. It just like,
Yeah.
I knew it was wrong. This shouldn't be happening, but I kept the secret. you know?
Yeah.
But I think what has helped me over time is talking about it.
Mhm.
Honest to God, like the more I talked about it, the easier it became to talk about it. Um, the lighter I feel about it. Like it's very easy for me to talk about it now. And yes, sometimes I do get emotional when talking about it, but it's not because I'm hurting on him or I'm thinking on him on what he did. It's just like the process in general, or when I think about my younger self, or when I think about how I wish I could have handled it, or, so sometimes, emotion is tied with that. But when I began talking about it, I would cry when I just talk about it.
Right. Of course.
And then,
Yeah.
over time, like, but I would tell you, like, not holding on to it and getting that out is really what has helped me and
Yeah.
is why I'm able to sit here right now and let whoever see it, because it's just gotten easier. And that's what has helped me get through it.
That's great. I mean, and it's the bravery too, because it does take yourself to be brave in order to be vulnerable. And unfortunately, this is a type of thing that happens with kids all the time. And a lot of it is out of the home. So if it's not safe in the home, as far as like either, you hear so many different stories about it was, I explained it to, a parent or somebody else, and they either blamed me or they didn't believe me and things like
Hmm.
that. So I can see why people probably are less likely to want to speak
Right.
out about it. But so it takes it takes bravery to be vulnerable, but being vulnerable means you can share your story and somebody else can go, I can be vulnerable too.
Hmm.
And that's how we heal. this is
Yes.
this is the this is the part of healing that is hard to go through. It's
Hmm.
ugly, it's hard to watch sometimes, but it's necessary, because there's so many just broken people out there that don't have to be, right?
Right.
Like,
It's just very scary to talk about, especially like I told you, like my mom never talked about this stuff growing up as a child. I didn't have
mhm,
a teacher in there, talking about it,
yeah,
or someone doing a podcast on it. All these resources now that can potentially help a child or, teen or someone that goes through it that, we didn't have before. So,
right.
and luckily for me, my mother believed me. And I
Mhm.
know it's very sad when there's
Yeah,
instances where they're they're not believed. It's like, so
yeah,
there's that as well.
that's
So
true.
does it make it any easier for
I know,
someone to come in?
exactly. Yeah. Because they're gonna say, well, I wasn't believed by the person
Mhm.
who I
But you
trusted
keep
or
talking
something.
about it. You keep talking about it, and you keep telling somebody, because somebody is going to believe you, or it might get in the right ear to where you feel right about it. But like, you
Mhm.
can't just tell it one time. Like, if my mom didn't believe me, I probably would have then, because I already told my friend, I probably would have told my sisters anyway. Like, I just think
Right.
you keep telling it.
That's incredible. Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree. Um, how do you think as a society we could do better for kids? I mean, what can we do? Like, honestly, like I kind of get stuck sometimes because I think the education piece is probably very important.
Hmm. Bringing into the school, but it's also, like I said, your parents starting at home. Like, you have to have that uncomfortable conversation with your kid. I have a son. I talked to him about him. He was little,
Mhm.
little,
Yeah.
because I'm worried about that for my child.
Yeah.
Uh, what happened to me made me hyper aware to things
Yeah.
like
Right.
that might be so innocent, but now my eyes are tainted, I guess you can say, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I would get like, no one's going to do this to my kid, so I had the
Yeah.
conversation early on. And you have to have those conversations with your kids, and they may not understand, but you keep having those conversations with your kids.
Yeah.
And the teacher in school, or like I said, you doing this podcast, is just like, I don't know what other way than to say it really does start with your parents.
I know. That's true. It's absolutely true. And I think that's why they create those spaces also in the classroom, in the off chance in those cases where it is the parents that are doing
Hmm.
more of the harm than protecting the
Exactly.
child. Yeah. So it's it's having to find that safe person to be able to want to, um but it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of legwork, because one, it's not easy,
Yeah.
because in a sense, when you do talk about it, yeah, I guess in a way you're experiencing it all over again, because you're going through the memory and going through the having to explain the trauma. And especially, like, I could only imagine, like, you having to explain it to your mom and then to your sisters, and that you weren't quite sure what they were going to say, how they were going to handle it. And then
And not just that, but I also felt like as I'm telling this, as I'm telling them, I'm breaking their heart
yeah,
because they love me.
of course.
And so as I'm telling my truth and getting that out, I'm breaking my mother's heart. I'm breaking my sister's heart.
Yeah.
I'm breaking my best friend's heart. Nobody wants to know that about somebody. Nobody wants to learn that about somebody,
Right.
So that was also a hard part about telling your story, because it's going to affect other people.
I know. Because I think that's sometimes how we are raised too, that we don't want that other person to feel bad.
Right.
And then so we put their feelings in front of ours, and then that's but I think what everybody should understand, and what was great that you got the message, was that all of these people that you were able to tell were strong enough to take it,
Yeah.
even though maybe they were sad for you, or upset in that moment, and wanting, like you said, your husband wanting to take dude's head off, like, that's him being his protector, like, how dare you mess with do that to somebody so beautiful and so amazing, and like, how do you do that to a child, and it is that response. And I think for those people that are good, or that not good enough, but those people that are being graced with somebody being able to tell their truth to you, my suggestion is to hold your feelings, because yes, you can be upset, and yes, you can feel for that person, but I think in what we need to practice is not a reaction.
Yes.
And I've been not great at not doing like, when somebody tells me something that you have hurt somebody I love, like, my initial is like, all right, so who's digging the ditch?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah,
You know,
it's hard not to, because
it's
you care so
hard.
much and you love that person. You're ready to defend that person.
Just jump in and do that, but just know that oftentimes that's not what they need. They just need
to
for
be
you to
heard.
hear, and that you listened, and that you understand, that you love them, and that they are loved, and that they are supported no matter what the next steps are, even if it's digging the ditch.
I know who to call.
Shovels, and I'm ready to go. So going back to your child self, to your younger self, what would you say to her right now as an adult?
Oh man, it's something that's crossed my mind many times, and I will say that, like, if I think back about this experience, it's not so much thinking about him or the incident. It's her. It's my younger self.
Yeah.
And all I want to say to her is, Sophia, run to mom right now. That's always what I think about, because I know where I was when it happens, and the fact that I just went back and blended in with family.
Like nothing happened. Yeah.
So my thing is, I want to say, Sophia, run to mom right now. Run to mom and put it out there right now. Oh man, I'd give anything
To go back
and do that, and run to my mom and be like, this just happened,
Yeah.
And I wish that if through all this, that's the piece I wish I can figure out, is why do victims, or why do we not do that? Like,
Right.
why do we hold it when I knew, like I said, I knew it was wrong,
Right.
but I still knew. And it's not like I was told, like some are, if you tell, I'll kill you. If you tell, I wasn't told any of that.
Right.
I wasn't threatened, but I still kept the secret. So that's what I would absolutely tell my younger self is go run to mom. Tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm
Mhm.
so glad that you decided to come on and share your story because, like I said in the beginning, this is something that is going to strike a chord with so many people. And I'm hoping not just with women,
Yeah.
but with boys too. Little boys are just as much as abused as little girls. And as you can plainly see, because this is why we have so many instances of violence against women, is because of things like this.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we are preyed upon more, but little boys also suffer, and they suffer more in silence because I don't know if it was just maybe our era or our day and age or whatever, but maybe not so much in this day and age, but back and then it was a girl problem, right? It
Mhm.
was something that happened to girls. So
Yeah.
then when boys experience the same thing, then that's so much more shame
Then a girl. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
top of that because it is something that just happens to girls or women.
Mhm.
So then what's wrong with me?
Yes.
You
On
know?
top of that. Yeah. It's
On
like an
top of
added thing.
everything
Yeah.
else. And then they don't get as much help either. Yeah, there's definitely so much that we still need to put into action. And I mean, I think the teachers that are teaching this in the classes and making kids aware about these are the areas that nobody's allowed to touch you, see you,
Mhm.
without clothes, see you taking a shower, changing any of that things. It's like it is so important because oftentimes too, parents have a hard time. I don't know if it's still that way with talking about sex,
Mhm.
but and then we're looking at your culture, the different cultures that are out
That's
there
right.
and how less likely they are to talk about sex
Mhm.
and I know, at least I grew up because Catholic, save yourself for marriage. And,
Mhm.
you're not supposed to have sex with anybody and save yourself for marriage. But then when they don't talk about what to do when somebody forces that upon you or something, then that's an extra added, well, I'm no longer good because I didn't,
Right. Right.
I, whatever, for my religious belief or their religious belief. But I think we all need to kind of hopefully start to get past that. And the idea is not to say, you know, if something like this was to happen to you, you don't have to feel shame. You should share that. But also, the parents too
Mhm.
they need to get out from underneath themselves too, because then they feel funny explaining it to kids. And sex ed and talking about sex with your child is hard because they think it's weird, and then they're
Yeah.
laughing and you're like, I'm not doing a good job. And
But you know what? The other thing, unfortunately, is it's also your parents. It's also
yeah,
someone in the home abusing you. So
yeah,
you're not going to get spoken to about that because if they're your abuser, right? So there's that piece. So it's nice that if there's teachers putting it out there, you might not have, you obviously can't go to them at home, but you
right,
have a teacher. And I mean, for God's sakes, go
yeah,
to a police department. I just,
right, yeah,
that's supposed to be safety. Tell someone,
yeah.
um, if you can't tell someone at home.
Right. I know, because you'll hear stories about how, when children are being told that this is how they show love in the house,
Hmm.
or this is how they show respect in the house, or for even when it comes to them abusers being in these religious, um I don't know, mega churches and things like that, and the abuse happening in a religious space, or a space where you think that you're supposed to be feeling free, and then they are in safe, and then they turn it around and use this as, well, you're not serving God if you're not doing this with me,
Hmm.
or God's not going to be happy with you if you don't do this with me. And so that is, I think, an additional reason why. And not just in the classroom, there's so many kids that are homeschooled, and are they getting this education, or what piece of this are they getting? Because if the parents homeschooling them, they're kind of controlling what they're being
Right.
taught. So that's going to be a little bit complicated too. So
Hmm.
hopefully somebody out there is working on that. Please
Hmm.
hit me up and let me know if that's a thing. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much for
Thank you.
coming on
Thank you
and
for
joining me
having
for
me.
this.
Thank you. I mean, I wouldn't even ever thought that I would be telling my story on a podcast, but
I'm so glad you did.
but hey, that's growth, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Medusa's Awakening podcast. Stay up to date on new episodes by following, liking, and subscribing to our pages. We are on Instagram at Medusas_Awakening, on YouTube at Medusa's Awakening, and on TikTok at Awakening_Medusa_podcast.